And right on time, we are joined by Mr. International Forecaster himself, regular on Alex Jones and many other networks. He probably did about 7 or 8 interviews before joining us tonight, and hopefully he doesn't fall asleep on us here. Mr. Chapman, it's a pleasure having you on with us.
Well, thank you, and I promise I won't fall asleep.
Hey, I know that it gets rough out there. How many interviews have you done today?
Well, let me take a look here.
I'm always curious to see what the count is.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is number 9.
That's a full-time job just in itself.
Well, you know, I like doing it, and I help a lot of people, and
oh, you sure do.
Makes it worthwhile.
Yes, and like I mentioned before, we've become really good with playing your ads just once an hour, just because we like you so much. We don't want any money from you. We just want to promote you so much because you bring a lot to our radio station here when you come in once a month.
Oh, thank you. I do a couple of other bloggers too.
Oh, okay. Well, first things first here, the United States and the UK are about to lose their AAA rating. Can you get into that for a little bit with us?
No, that's pretty simple. They're both on the verge of bankruptcy, and Moody's, of course, is under intense pressure as a rating agency from the U.S. government, and I can't understand why Moody's and S&P and Fitch's have not been charged criminally with what they did 3, 4, 5 years ago with the CDOs, the bonds which contained the mortgages in different forms, and they rated them AAA in connivance and collusion with banking, investment banking, and brokerage houses, all who are complicit in that. And trillions of dollars were lost because of it, because they rated them AAA and they were triple B, you know, more or less. And now those are the kind of bonds that the Federal Reserve is purchasing with money which they create out of thin air from banks and brokerage houses and investment banks, and they're paying probably anywhere between 5 cents and 60 cents on the dollar because the bonds have gone down so much. And, of course, the big question is, what is the Fed really paying for them? And we don't know because it won't tell us. It's a big secret. And so the rating agencies, that Moody's in this case, that said they'd probably have to reduce the rating of the U.S. and the U.K., they're under some fierce heat now. In fact, the Attorney General for Connecticut has brought civil charges against them for fraud, and rightly so. But he really should be charging them criminally. See, the problem with Wall Street and banking and insurance and major corporations is nobody goes to jail. And they have 2 sets of rules, one for them and one for us. And so the rich don't go to jail. The Illuminists never go to jail.
And this includes Tim Geithner, who's getting railed right now with his involvement with AIG and the Lehman Brothers.
Well, that's true. And the SEC knew exactly what was going on, and they were part and parcel of it. And they're complicit. And, you know, the people on Wall Street knew what was going on. You know, I own my own firm on Wall Street. I was there 28 years, and I understand how it works. Just plain old vanilla, common variety crooks. They just wear $4,000 suits and they steal billions, and The poor suckers in jail steal $300 or $400 and do 5 years, or, carry too much drugs and they give them 10 years. It's ridiculous. Not that I'm pro-drug, but the point is, the point's taken.
A week or two ago, Bob, we had a guy that got 8 years in the slammer for stealing a 1 pound block of cheese. But if you steal trillions of dollars, then you just get promoted and high-fived, basically.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly correct. And
I want to go over this one,
the world works.
I want to go over also, Bob, here. You heard about the incident with the car wash in Sacramento, correct? Where they got raided because they owed the IRS 4 cents?
Yeah, I did hear about that. I put it in the forecaster. How pathetic.
How does that work? I mean, they spent hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars probably just to collect 4 cents. They couldn't just call the guy and say, hey, send us a nickel?
Well, you got to understand what you're dealing with. And they have this infantile mentality. Most of them are things that I don't want to tell you on the radio.
Right.
And it's very common in law enforcement as well. And they overstep their authority, and they try to make people look like fools. And, of course, that's wrong, but they do it anyway. And all cultures, all societies have always had these kinds of people. And that's where they find their niche. And they're basically psychologically sick people. And that's why they do the things that they do, and that's why they work where they work. It's not pleasant being a tax collector of one form or another, and it's not pleasant being in law enforcement for the most part, because you're exposed to, number one, a truly criminal element, and you have to think like them and to understand how to entrap them for the things that they've done. And at the same time, you have this derangement that abounds because when you're around criminals long enough, you get like them very often. Not everybody, but all too many. And so you have this syndrome. And it's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. And, of course, if we didn't have taxes that were collected directly from the people, we wouldn't have that problem.
Right. Now, moving along here with there's been a lot of stuff that's happened since we last talked to you, so let me try to go backwards here. Well, no, I guess we'll stay in the current. What is this demon past that the health care bill is being discussed?
Well, they're trying to say, we want you to approve in reconciliation this bill that we will approve by passing it through both houses, even though it hasn't been voted on and passed. It is one of the most insane things I've ever seen. Constitutionalists and others are outraged. Anybody who is sane within our society should be outraged. It just shows you how low and despicable the scum is that inhabits Washington. And I suppose if they pass it and we can clear a lot of the people who are incumbents out of Washington, maybe we have an opportunity to reverse that in legislation, but I don't know, that's difficult. But the idea would be to stop it now. But they don't care what you think. Over 70% of the population do not want this bill. And they're going to shove it down the public's throat anyway, because it's all about people control and all about getting rid of chronically ill and older people who are ill. and also to enrich the insurance companies, the drug companies, we'll call them pharmaceutical companies, to separate them from the illegal drug dealers.
Yeah, the street pharmacist.
Street pharmacist, if you may, and also to embellish the riches of hospitals and attendant people. The doctors don't want it because they don't make any decisions anymore under that law. A bureaucrat decides what kind of treatment or operation will be given to somebody, and the doctor has no say in the matter. And people who are chronically ill will have discussions with the bureaucratic staff who will try to convince them